We're going to call to order the June 11th, 2024 regular board meeting for Competitive Edge Charter Academy. I will note that all board members are present this evening, and I'd like to ask you to stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
1.04 is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I have a motion by board member Bannister. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by board member Debbie Miller. No discussion, I assume. Sorry, I thought you said something. We all good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes 5-0. We have any public comment for CECA? Okay. We're moving on to the advisory committee report. Mr. Mead, welcome.
I'm filling in for Ms. Wright this evening. So this, our final PCAC meeting this year was all about our LCAP, and so we reviewed the last 3-year cycle of our LCAP and kind of looked where we started and what we've kind of gone through and some of our accomplishments. And then we looked over our budget for next year for 24-25. We talked about some proposed actions along with their metrics, and just planned for our presentation next week and made sure that we got a lot of voices in the room. My goals on the page.
Okay. Any questions for Joe? Okay, thanks, Joe. All right, now we're moving on to 4.01. This is actually an action item. This is for the purchase of classroom furniture. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval. Second.
I have a motion by board member Bannister and a second by board member Cope. Any discussion? Questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes 5-0. The consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented? Move to approve. I got a motion by board member Bob Miller and a second by board member Cope. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes 5-0. Any additional administrative information from anybody down that way? Mr. Mead?
I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who attended the myriad of end of year ceremonies. We really appreciated you guys being there and being a part of it with us.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay. Board member comments. Board member Bob Miller.
Yeah, Joe, we enjoyed coming to your celebration there. Great to see the parents. You guys did a great job. It was seamless. Good to see the families, and thank you for inviting us.
Debbie Miller.
Mine's gonna be a little personal. So I hear it was your daughter that spoke at graduation. Amazing. Was great. So it was very nice to hear her. And her speech was great.
Sure.
Happy summer.
Okay. All right. I think that we are done and we are adjourned. Back in the closed session. We'll be back out at 6:30.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will note that all board members are present this evening. And moving on to 3.04, are there any changes to the agenda as presented?
No, no changes.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by board member Bob Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a second by board member Debbie Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes 5-0. We do have two things to report out from closed session, and I'm going to do that right now. In closed session, the Board of Education took action on a motion made by board member Cope and a second by board member Debbie Miller, followed by a 5-0 vote to appoint Melissa Crosby to the position of Dean of Students for Valley Elementary School. Would you like to come up, Melissa, and just kind of introduce yourself and say whatever it is you want to say?
Okay, I had to write down some thoughts because I don't speak in front of adults very often, so. All right, good evening, President Snellings, board members and cabinet members. I wanted to express my gratitude and appreciation for your approval tonight. So I really am appreciative and thankful for the opportunity. Thank you for giving me this opportunity and for having the confidence in me to take on this very important role at Valley Elementary. And I hope to be a positive asset to the students and staff at Valley. And I hope to be a strong support system for Mr. Redstead. I look forward to building strong relationships with the students and families at Valley as I take on this new role. And I would like to thank Mr. Redstead and Kathy for being supportive and having the confidence in me to do this. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, welcome aboard. Thank you. Also in closed session, the Board of Education took action on a motion made by board member Debbie Miller and a second by board member Cope, followed by a 5-0 vote to appoint Jose Ancona to the position of assistant principal for Yucaipa High School. Jose, welcome.
Thank you. Just want to take this opportunity to thank you for the opportunity. I am excited to be a Thunderbird. I'm looking forward to serving as the newest assistant principal at Yucaipa High School and helping serve our students and our community. So thank you very much.
All right. T-bird tie too. We appreciate that. All right. Welcome aboard. Congratulations. Okay. Now we're moving on to our recognition, and we're going to begin with employee and student recognition, making a difference.
Thank you, President Snellings, members of the board. I'm excited this evening. We've been doing Make a Difference Awards, and it's really highlighted some of the wonderful things that our students, our community, and our faculty and staff are doing all across our district that truly does meet our purpose statement, making a difference in the life of every child, and it's also in the life of one another. And so this evening, I have the opportunity, and I'm going to try to get through this without being a little emotional, but to recognize the Oakview team that helped to save their principal's life. So I'm going to invite Trevor Maddox to come up for a start. We're excited that Mr. Moore is here this evening, and you'll hear from him in a moment. But I've had the opportunity to talk to John a little bit and then to go visit the team at Oakview. And they're all very modest about their work. But starting with Mr. Maddox here, When someone takes swift action to identify something that isn't right, whether it be health related or safety related, it saves lives. And so I'm going to just give Trevor a moment to talk a little bit about what happened that he did to work through the process. And you can spare the details, but I want you to share your story because honestly, when we support one another, we pay attention to one another in this way, amazing things happen. And so, Trevor.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I'm just staring at everybody, so I'm going to take this. Well, yes, John is okay now. Mr. Moore is okay. Maybe not when I meet him in the parking lot after this. So what happened that day was, it's no secret that we work with some rough kids at Oakview, and the adults are also a little rough around the edges, so we're all a little weird. But Mr. Moore was acting a little more weird that day. And I noticed that he just wasn't himself. And so, you know what? Can I get my whole team up here? Everybody. Because another monitor noticed, the secretary jumped into action, another monitor jumped into action to support, and then the other monitor jumped into action to support. So Eduardo jumped into action, Kathy jumped into action, Sandra jumped into action, and Jillian, get over here. We all jumped into action. Okay. So let me give you a little bit, I don't know how much time I have. You guys comfortable? Okay. This was just sprung on me at the last minute. So just give you a quick little brief background of myself. At the age of 27, I had a complete mental breakdown. I was a very confident person before then. I became agoraphobic. I had panic disorder, all sorts of stuff. You name it, I had mental disabilities going on. And I decided at that point that I was scared to go out in the real world because there was no one that was going to help me if I was by myself. And so I swore that wherever I was going to be in life in the future, I would be there to help people and be observant. And that's what I taught my team here. And so when John was not acting normal, we jumped into action and got him taken care of in about 10 minutes. And I couldn't have done that without these people. So, Mr. Moore, where are you at? Get up here. Mr. Moore and I have known each other for many, many years, and we've been through a lot together. And it just means, I know it means a lot to him that we were there to support him, but it means a lot to us that you're okay and that we know that you're going to be around to enjoy your retirement. And we really don't want this recognition. We're just people doing the right thing. So I'll stop rambling, and I have nothing else to say.
So Trevor's right, he sprung it on at the last minute, but that gave him no way to say no. So that's how we have to do business sometimes. I like to ask the Board of Education to come forward. And while they're coming forward, I know, Mr. Moore, you have just a few things you were going to say. I'll give you the opportunity to say them.
Thank you, Gal. Wow. One of my sayings at school is, you can't make this stuff up. And so definitely not how I initially planned retirement, but you know, we all have our journeys we need to walk. And I definitely wanted to, when Callie offered me this opportunity to come say something at the board meeting, the biggest thing is just thank you. You know, just thank you for not only my Oakview family, but the whole Yucaipa School District family. It's been an amazing, wonderful 19-year journey, you know, and so now I got another hole in my head to always remember that journey. But I'm just blessed, and just blessed to have worked 19 years in the district, and every year has been a wonderful journey. And all of the heartfelt thank yous and prayers were instrumental in me standing up here again in front of you. So again, I just wanted to simply say to everyone, thank you.
I'd say one more thing that popped in my head. When you guys hear rumors about Oakview, just remember we're the safest school because we save lives.
And so they're being awarded with a I Make a Difference pin and a certificate, and we thank them so much for what they do. First, Trevor Maddox. Jillian Landaverde. Robert Parisi couldn't be here this evening. He's our health tech that was subbing that day, and we want to give him a round of applause and we'll make sure he gets it. Sandra Rutherford. Kathy Sorensen. We've married them. And Eduardo. Kathy Maddox.
Put you on Instagram. Yep, it's okay. So, yeah. You're good.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, fix.
Excellent.
All right.
Next, we have an opportunity to recognize one of our Oakview graduates, and I'd like to ask Genaro Raspon to come forward. There aren't a lot of people, don't look. So Genaro was the representative from Oakview at the County Superintendent of Schools Student Voice Activity. And Genaro joined other students from across the county, other high school students, to select a topic that they felt passionate about. But maybe midway or a little in the beginning, Genaro wasn't thrilled with his group and petitioned the people who were leading the activity to do his own topic. And Genaro did his on child abuse. Did an amazing research-based presentation with personal things put into that presentation that was really a mic drop. And so the superintendent of schools asked Genaro to present at a county superintendent meeting where 33 superintendents and college presidents were joined, and Genaro was the morning featured presenter. And that's pretty incredible. Now, this young man, I don't know that he loves to present, but he's really good at it. And so after presenting there, he was with Miss Aries Lewis, who's our community liaison, I asked her if, we could talk him into presenting at our leadership team meeting, which he did on Friday, and did a fabulous job. Even though we lost electricity, he had lost his presentation, he still, because this topic was near and dear to his heart, has done an amazing job. And because of his suggestion, the Stop It app has been put on all of our Chromebooks so that every student has access, whether they need help or they know someone else needs help if they don't have a phone or computer access at home. And so I thank you for that suggestion. I'm sorry we didn't think of it, but I'm glad you did. And Honora, would you like to say anything?
Trevor did. So coming in here, I wasn't really expecting to have to get in front of a lot of people. I thought this was going to be like very small. There's a lot of you guys in here. And a certain person kind of walked in and was like, "Oh, are you presenting today?" And I looked at her and I went, "Am I?" And she was like, "Oh, no, not like that." So I just wanted to say thank you guys. I really appreciate what the school is doing, especially for all those kids out there who don't have a voice to kind of say what they want to say or who can't explain the issues that are happening at home. And I'm very content now that there's something in place to kind of help that, because there's always going to be kids that go through the cracks. And that was all I wanted to say.
Just real quick, Hanaro sells himself short, and I'm always encouraging him because he does have a true gift. Just, the biggest fear that we all have is talking in front of people, and he just does it with ease and such a knack. And I hope that he continues to pursue some arena where he can continue to maximize that gift that he's given. So I'm so proud that he is an OU graduate, and I'm just looking for bigger and brighter things for Hanaro. So Hanaro, congratulations.
Honora, on behalf of the Board of Education and Yucaipa Calamasa Joint Unified School District, you make a difference. You've made a difference not only in our district, but county-wide. And when you want a platform, we've got it for you. So come on.
Squeeze right in the middle. This is what we do.
No, right here.
Right here. Good. Go around right there. All right. 1, 2, 3. Thanks,
Okay, that was good. Now we're moving on to 5.02. Is this the? Oh, sorry. This is 4.02, the American Banner Pros.
Yes, Mr. Bradley is going to present this one.
Oh, okay. Welcome, Lance.
Thank you. Good evening, President Snellings, members of the board, Superintendent Binks, members of cabinet. So I am super excited to present American Banner Pros because not only have we been recognizing the differences our students and employees make, we've also been trying to recognize members in our community that make a big difference. And I started about 4 years ago, a little bit over, and if anybody does a little bit of math, that was not a great time. But one of my very first partners in the community was Ed Emerson over at American Banner Pros. So he makes all those awesome banners that you see on Yucaipa Boulevard for graduation. Him and his team were able to make that big graduation banner that was on the 2nd Street roundabout. He made that for us in about 36 hours. And I always come to him with last minute projects, as I'm sure many of our schools do, and he always comes through. And so I'd like to invite Ed and his family up here. American Banner Pros is truly one of those companies in our community that makes a difference. And more often than not, I'm not sure if Ed wants me to go advertise this, but whenever it's time for an invoice, it usually doesn't exist. He donates a lot of materials and time to us, and it's been really beneficial to us, and the amount of time it takes him to finish a project is pretty amazing. I'm telling you, I don't think I've ever come to him with a good plan, but he always comes through. And so, Ed, we'd like to recognize you. The board would like to take a chance to take a picture with you. Thank you. You're more than welcome to say a few words if you'd like to.
Sure, why not? I'd love a good crowd. When we started this project in 2024, it was during a time when a lot of the kids couldn't kind of walk and, be recognized and, enjoy their graduation. So the project has been a blessing to us in the community. It led to a lot of other opportunities with the Hometown Heroes programs. And, I'm proud of our family and our company. We work real hard together with the community. We hope to continue to do so as the years go by. Thank you.
Now, like everybody else, you gotta take a picture now.
Someone's gonna be. I know. I didn't want to be right here. Yeah.
All right, I go more my thin side.
Thank you.
Now we're moving on to a highlight, and this will be our student voice presentation and making a difference recognition. Ms. Binks.
Thank you, President Snelling, members of the board. Mr. Snellings and I had an opportunity last summer to meet this student, Ella Aceves. So I'm going to ask her to start walking up so she can be front and center while we talk about her. And Mr. Snellings and I were amazed at not only her maturity, but just her ability to communicate and the things that she talked about with us about how she wanted to make a difference and help students and do things that would benefit her siblings that were later to come and go through our system. And so looking for opportunity, this year we've been looking at our purpose statement. It's on the wall back here above the receptionist desk. And we wanted to really begin to define what it means to make a difference in the life of every child. And as we worked on that, Mr. Stellings and I, President Stellings and I talked about having a student lead that. And there was no better choice than Ella to do this work. And so we were able to go to the high school, Mr. Bradley and I, and meet with her and talk to her about maybe working with our students district-wide from elementary all the way through to the high school to find out what our students might say it is to have someone make a difference in their life. And so Ella is going to tell you a little bit about the work that she did.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for that very kind introduction. I've had the honor of being the student voice leader over the past couple months, a project which focused on gathering student intel and amplifying their powerful voices in the search of how we can make a difference in the life of each child. The primary goal of this project was creating an action plan focused on supporting students on the path of success in both their personal and academic lives, and here are the results. So for the middle schools, their top three were advocacy, resource accessibility, and mental health. On the topic of advocacy, students wanted an unbiased listener, someone who could guide them through difficult conversations as they experience all the big emotions of growing up, and which would diminish the conflicts that turn into physical fights. For resource accessibility, students wanted to change small things regarding counseling, like the appointment system, and the guidance they receive on their future to include paths other than a four-year university and community college. What I discovered through this is that students are incredibly selfless. They are looking for ways to not only help themselves, but also help their peers and make sure that everyone has access to everything. Lastly, for the upper grades for mental health, it still continues to be a hot topic, but students have now shifted their focus on preventing and noticing the signs and are asking for training for their teachers and staff on how to identify the warning signs, how to handle these situations, destigmatizing mental health to their parents, and are looking for training on emotional intelligence of how to handle the big emotions and things that happen when one grows up. Now moving on to the elementary grades. I had the honor of meeting with students from 4th and 5th grade at the Everett Elementary School, which love to come say hi to me when I'm working at Starbucks. With this in mind, the 3 key topics were learning, activities and involvement, and lunch. For activities and learning, students are seeking a more hands-on approach with less Chromebook usage, and they're looking for the opportunity for more art and science in the classroom. Similarly, students just want a place to be involved, so they want to expand the offering of after-school activities like sports, media clubs, etc., to continue to get involved with their school. And in regards to lunch, which I found silly, but it turned out to be a really key topic, they're seeking a more efficient system to get lunch at their sites. They want their friends with dietary restrictions to be included, and they seek a more diverse food menu. I had the pleasure of presenting these results to the leadership team last Friday, and I ran a similar workshop with them to figure out what the next steps for this was, and they pledged to the following: partaking in conflict mediation and emotional intelligence training, finding staff to run after-school activities, communicating with their teachers, and overall continuing the student voice projects at their site. Despite the difference in age, students are simply wanting somewhere where they can belong without the expectations of being someone else to fit in. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for listening. Thank you.
Okay. If I could, Ella, when we interviewed you, we were interviewing you as a potential student school board member, and we had 2 very good candidates. Probably could have flipped a coin. You both would have been great. But when you left that office, Callie looked at me, and I was thinking the same thing. We've got to figure out something to do with this young lady because you were very impressive. And I am so happy to see what you've been able to do and accomplish. You gave a very quick introduction about what you did, but there was a lot of substance in what you've done for us, and I really, really appreciate it. For a student to take that on and to go to our schools and to engage in these conversations and meet with administrators, it really is remarkable, and I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Going to give her an award?
We are,
Okay.
and I would also like to mention, I would like to also mention that Ms. Caricato, our teacher on assignment from Educational Services, supported Ella in getting into the classrooms and working with her, and then Megan Hill at the elementaries, who's also a teacher on assignment in Educational Services. And so, but the comments, so Ella graduated, but she's not going far, right? We're committing her to some other things before she goes. You want to tell her you're going to college?
In the fall, I'll be pursuing a Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry at University of California, Riverside.
You all know where we can find her. But it was, and she connected so well with not just her peers, but the elementary students as well. And I'm still trying to get her to be a teacher, but that darn chemistry, she worked really hard in those classes. So, Ella, we are so proud of you and so grateful that you took on a project that you really got to define, and you did it so extremely well. And then my favorite thing was at the end of our leadership team meeting, holding us accountable to what actions we were going to take. And I know Ann Aguilar raised her hand, and Kathy, I'm sorry, raised her hand first and foremost to talk about the menu, and then Principal Olive. So your work while you're living out your dream in college is still going to continue, but we do expect you to come back. So we want to thank you for making a difference in our district and in the lives of children. Thank you so much.
One, two, three.
Good job.
Now we're moving on to 5.02. This is our Farm to School Incubator Grant with Child Nutrition Services.
Good evening. I'd like to introduce Liliana Montenegro. She's our district nutritionist, and she's going to talk about a wonderful grant program that we had over the last couple of years. I got to go and visit the farm, so Liliana, I'll hand it over.
All right. Good evening, Board President Snellings, board members, Superintendent Deans. As Dr. Greenwood had mentioned, I'm Leanna Montenegro, the district nutritionist, and I'm delighted to present on our farm to school expansion grant. So a little farm to school history. For the past 2 decades, child nutrition has actually been a farm to school champion and was actually the very first district to partner with Old Grove Orange, which is our local farmers that are located in Redlands. We had initially started with their delicious oranges and their kiwis, but in the past few years, they became a food hub and had about 15 small local farmers. So with 15 small local farmers means that we had the ability to expand on our produce. So I'm excited to say that currently we're receiving about 40% of our fruits and vegetable options that are locally grown and sourced from Old Grove farms. So as we had increased our produce options, we also wanted to talk about how do we have our children make the connection that our fruits and vegetables were actually not coming from a random grocery store, but rather from, you know, our local farmers that are just down the street, or Farmer Anna, who we actually have here today. So that actually led me to apply for a grant with the California Department of Food and Agriculture in June of 2022, with the assistance of our Director of Teaching and Learning, Kathy Jackson. Thank you, Kathy. And in November of 2022, Child Nutrition was awarded with a $150,000 grant for our farm to school expansion project. So within our grant scope of work, I made sure to include 3 specific project activities that I would coordinate for our district, which actually would align perfectly with our project goal, which is to provide students with experience-based food education to have a better understanding of their relationship to their food, to farming, and to the broader ecosystem to which they belong. Within that goal, we have the 3 activities, which was our Old Grove Farm field trips, which highlight our next generation science standards for all 2nd to 5th grade students, as well as teaching them where their food, fruits and vegetables are coming from. Our second activity being our Old Grove mini farmers markets for all TK through 1st grade to increase hands-on food education. And our third being Harvest of the Month programming at all elementary schools throughout the 24-25 school year. So our very first project, which is actually the primary focus and the largest portion of our grant budget, was our our Old Grove Farm field trips. And I am very pleased to share that approximately 3,400 2nd through 6th grade students attended our farm field trips from April of 2023 through May of 2024. It fostered great parent engagement with approximately 240 parents and additional chaperones that were in attendance, in addition to the 10-to-1 required chaperone ratio, which was great, making that connection with our parents and their students. And our farm field trips were inclusive to all, and our farmers at Old Grove Orange were amazing and accommodated all of our requested needs, such as the use of augmented and alternative communication devices, wheelchair access, as well as they were very food allergy aware, of course. Now, these are just a few photos that I had snapped to kind of highlight the different activities that took place at our farm. They had several to actually go to, which were pretty amazing. Every time you go to a different field trip, it was something different. There's always something changing. My personal favorite was the rainbow chard tasting. Our farmer accidentally made our kiddos fall in love with rainbow chard, which who would have guessed? So at the very end of that field trip, a few kiddos actually came up to me and were like, "Can we get that on the salad bar?" And of course, who would say no for kiddos to get rainbow chard? So 2 weeks later, I ensured to have that on the salad bars, and it was like giving kids candy, except, you know, rainbow chard. So our second activity was our Old Grove mini farmers markets. Now these are our mini farmers markets for our minis. Approximately 1,500 TK through first graders attended between March and April of this school year, where they learned the superpowers that fruits and vegetables gave them, and they also got to shop for a few different options of their own. Here on the left, we have our amazing farmer Teresa, who was a credentialed teacher. She was the lead in all of our mini farmers markets, as well as the lead at all of our farm field trips. Really amazing. If you have a chance to see her, she's great. As you can see, there were several different options for the kiddos to choose from, and I'm really proud to have seen so many rainbow carrots in those bags, as that's actually something I would like to put on next year's menu, so yeah. Now, our third activity, coming to all elementary schools near you, is our Harvest of the Month. Now, our farmers were great in making it more of a seamless type of curriculum for our teachers. So what they'll be providing us with is a one-page of information and a video of the wonderful farmer that harvested that produce that they'll be trying each month starting in October. They will also be providing us with 35 tasting portions and all supplies necessary. So if it's a dragon fruit, for example, that you see on the right, everything will be pre-sliced, cut, and sample cups, and gloves will be provided as well. So with all three of these activities, I have to say a big thank you to Education Services, Director of Teaching and Learning, Kathy Jackson, our teacher on assignment, Megan Hill, for honestly the greatest collaboration that I could have asked for, as well as our department, and all the tremendous amount of support that they have provided us for our farm to school expansion project. And our biggest thank you, of course, to our farmer, Anna, and our partner here today from Old Grove Farms. If I could please have Farmer Anna join us. I just want to say very big thank you to them both, as this could not have been done without them. They are great. They have farmer-led, agriculture education that we couldn't have done without them. So we are grateful, 2 decades long of a partnership, although I've only been here almost a decade. But I am very thankful to them all. So thank you to our farmers.
We're gonna ask the board to get one more time to take a picture. Before we do that, Liliana, thank you so much for that presentation. I can tell by your energy how excited you are about this program. And I believe that yesterday Nutrition Services got, I think they call it the One in a Melon Award. That's correct? All right. So congratulations on that. I know you were, and we're just so proud of our Nutrition Services division. So proud. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
My family has a long relationship with YCJUSD Joint Unified. My grandmother was a teacher at Dunlap Elementary, and we have been selling our fruits and vegetables to this district for 19 years. I don't know if you know this, but you guys are truly the pioneers when it comes to farm to school in California. There is a lot of funding and spotlight on shine on the districts who are doing it now, but Anne was our very first customer, and your kiddos have sustained our farm through residential development and commercial development and the pandemic and now the Oriental fruit fly. And I just want you to know that in so many American families, knowing the story of where your food comes from is a privilege. But for the kids at YCJUSD Joint Unified, that's what Liliana made possible. And we're just so excited to be able to share this with your families. We brought a little gift. These are the same fruits that your kids eat every day at breakfast and lunch. And so we have organic blackberries, organic apples, and some colored eggs from our chickens that we picked up this morning. So we're gonna leave these out by the reception, but thank you so much for your continued support of this awesome department, because they are changing farming family lives.
We'd like to get a picture with you too.
We love that.
Winifred Knight.
So I was around for a long time, and
Are we in the right spot? Okay, so we're just wrapping. All right.
We're good, you're good. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, that was good. Now we're moving on to 6.01. This is public comment, and we're going to begin with Tom Herron. Welcome, Tom.
Good evening, President Stelling, Superintendent Binks, Board of Education. First of all, thank you for your hard work and dedication during the 2023-24 school year, supporting all our staff members to truly make a difference with our students. Every student who crossed the graduation stage was recognized in a promotion ceremony or completed a certificate program is a testament to the outstanding faculty members and classified staff who have gone above and beyond, not only in delivering quality education, but also in fostering an environment that encourages all our students to reach their full potential. As you make decisions this summer, please continue your commitment to smooth operating school sites where everyone can thrive in an environment that is safe, supportive, and encouraging. So thank you for your hard work, dedication, and unwavering support. Let's carry this momentum forward and make the 24-25 school year even more extraordinary. Thank you.
So I have 11 requests to speak, and this is, I believe, all on the same topic, which we're fine with that. But we do have what I'm going to ask you to do is just try and get your comments ready for when you get up here. We have 15 minutes to do this. There's 11 of you, each get about 1.5 minutes, so I'd like you to kind of frame your thoughts and give us your words, and we're excited to hear what you have to say. So just bear with us as we go through this. We're going to start with Scott Salinas. Hi, Scott.
President Stones. What do we usually allow, 3 minutes?
Yes.
Let's just give them 3 minutes.
Is everybody in agreement with that?
I would say just give them.
Well, I'm asking if everybody's in agreement with that. Okay. All right. So Scott, you have 3 minutes.
All right, thanks. My name is Scott Salinas. I'm a mod severe teacher at YHS. I've been at YHS in my position for 15 years. I work with 3 special ed directors. I work with 8 program specialists. I work with 10 assistant principals in charge of special ed at the high school. The reason I give all those facts is to show you my consistent experience and knowledge that I have in speaking about SPED, specifically mod severe. Our district has changed the way we service students with disabilities over the years. But the one constant that has always been the highest priority for the safety of our most vulnerable students in the district. This is like we're trying to talk it back to school. What you are proposing for mod severe classrooms is going to put our students, instructional aides, and teachers into a safety risk. The problem is once an incident happens, you cannot take it back. And YCJUSD is going to be responsible for what will happen to a mod severe student, instructional aide, or teacher. We have been reassured the entire last semester that none of the mod severe or success teachers are going to be over 13 students in the classroom. As a unit member, I believed that and was ready to move forward. Also, as a unit member, we have even gave the district some wiggle room with the number. However, 13 is obviously not the number that will be in our classes next year. I understand the district is in a financial crisis moving forward, but it is worth the health and safety of our most vulnerable students. Looking at our surrounding districts who have lawsuits going right now because of incidents that happened. One incident can bankrupt the district. And we have not had that happen here in Monterey. My final point, you guys can turn over your paper, isn't it? You guys can turn over your paper, that'd be great. Thank you. I would like to give you is a document that shows a major problem with our district and staffing in our Mod Severe classrooms. This is the fear that all of the Mod Severe as well as the Success teachers fear for next year. What you're looking at is the permanent instructional aid positions at each school site. When a permanent employee calls out sick or uses personal time, the next column shows how many absent requests that were made and needed a substitute instructional aid for that site's classroom. The third column shows the number of positions that were not picked up and went unfilled, leaving the classroom shorthanded, and resulted in the teacher having to figure out a way to cover the classroom to keep the students safe. The last column is the percentage of unfilled positions and the total across our district. This number is unacceptable and does not even include the 203 positions that were filled by a substitute teacher for an instructional aid because we did not have it. It's really difficult for us. We're going to do our jobs and make sure the students are safe, but continuing to have it happen over and over and over just puts us in more and more jeopardy and the fear of something's going to happen. In the end, I would like you to think about the health and safety of our most vulnerable students, instructional aides, as well as the teachers when you make the next proposal to the teacher community. Thank you for your time, and please do the right thing for us.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome, Ms. Sparks.
Good evening. I am a parent who has volunteered for classrooms, the district, school, and even Selma. I have participated in committees, councils, cabinets, and evening engagements. I have been volunteering in my daughter's class on a regular basis, doing cutouts, organizing, and a lot of tracing. I have been seen kicking behaviors, punching, spitting, biting, and many other behaviors in the classroom. Most of these actions were done to the teacher and the aides because of their resourcefulness and their recognizing these behaviors and stopping them from harming other students. And they also have to stop their education to do this. As the year progressed and class increased to the maximum capacity, so did the behaviors and the stopping of instructional aid, putting students, teachers, and aides in more danger. During this time, a student lost control of their emotions and actions. The student and staff safety and well-being was in jeopardy and resulted in an evacuation of the classroom. After this extreme event, I was asked to no longer participate in the classroom due to safety concerns. I'm the daughter of a kindergartner and a nonverbal one. She cannot tell me she doesn't feel safe in this classroom. I need to protect her. She did not go to school the following day and 2 weeks after, in which I started looking for a new education process. The increase in this class size looks good on paper, but you're forgetting one variable: students leaving. I have decided to apply my daughter along with 2 of her siblings to another school in another district. I still haven't finished the enrollment process, but I am in there, and this will be an option, a reason for her to be coming into another education for her safety concerns. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sparks. Hello, Ms. Bell.
Hello. Before I began, I really wanted to thank all our Mod Severe staff and parents who showed up tonight to support us. Thank you. And I started in a Mod Severe classroom. At the time, there was only 1 in the entire district. And currently we have 5, and our population continues to grow. Our projected placement numbers right now are nearly at 15 for each class for the next school year. I love seeing our Mod Severe students return from county classes and attending our schools where they have inclusion and they can be with their gen ed peers, but I've also seen the needs of our students become more extensive over time as well. Today, our students struggle with communication skills and are often nonverbal. They become extremely frustrated, have self-injurious behaviors, aggressive behaviors. We have students that have sensory issues that require individual attention each day. We have students that need our assistance with personal care tasks. Many of them are in diapers and dependent on staff for changings. They also require one-on-one assistance. We have students that need help with G-tubes and spoon feeding. They also require individual attention each day. We have students that are medically fragile or orthopedic impairments that require the use of a wheelchair or stroller, making it challenging for our classes to get from point A to point B, and making evacuating during an emergency even more difficult. In addition to meeting all those needs, we're expected to be implementing our IEPs for our students, teaching district adopted curriculum, differentiating instruction, ELA, math, writing, all the 5 domains. And we're doing that with 3 staff members. Another issue we're facing is staff challenges. Many vacancies go unfilled for months. When we do get substitutes, they're unable or unwilling to perform all the duties, and that's when we do get substitutes for the day. Even when fully staffed with 2 aides and a teacher, we have breaks and lunches each day, meaning 35% of our day, there's only 2 staff in the classroom. If a student has a behavior or a need that requires individual attention, that will leave 1 staff member of 14 students. It's just not safe. Students require prompting to stay on task, assistance with all classroom activities, and these are students that live their work area, and it's just not possible with 1 staff member. If that sounds like a lot to you, it is. And we're expected to do it for 15 students with just 1 teacher and 2 aides. Members of the board, I invite you to come to our classrooms for a week and see how we are functioning at our current caseload numbers. I want you to see our classrooms thriving, not just surviving. And I hope you consider our saying of put students first and don't increase class sizes without providing more support for students. Thank you for your
Thank you, Ms. Bill. Welcome, Ms. Carter.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Tina Carter. I am a parent of a multi-year student who has in the past had issues in other classrooms where she has had emotional, how would I say? It wasn't a good environment that she had to be removed. She's in a wheelchair. Because of other behaviors, my child's safety was an issue for her. Of her having to be removed from her educational environment, losing her time and her minutes because of behavior issues. All of that goes on in the current numbers. So I ask to look at and spend some time understanding what is going on with these kids. There's a big risk that you're putting increasing the numbers and not having the staff. I know how it is for the staff not being there. Because my child needs a one-on-one. If my staff needs to go out, how is my child supposed to do? So when one person has to be because of breaks, what's going to happen? The neglect to my child, because my child doesn't have a voice because she can't speak. My child can't move. She can't go anywhere. How's that going to happen? That's a big commitment. That's a big safety issue. And it's open for liability for this school district as more numbers opening up. I've seen it in the other Redland School District as well. As being a former foster parent, I've seen my other foster kids in other school districts now and seeing what's happening with the special needs in other districts. So I encourage you, please don't increase the numbers. You're going to open yourself up to liabilities. And you're going to open yourself up to more mental and social problems for these not severe kids that they're already going through. And they're not going to get their education they're entitled to by their IEPs. And their goals aren't going to get the time that they need because of the behaviors that are happening in classrooms that if you don't know, you need to go in the classrooms and see it. The kids aren't being able to get their educational time that the IEP says that they're entitled to. And if there comes a time that a parent decides to go off and call on saying, give me your numbers, show me that you're giving my kid all their time, what are you going to do? Because you're going to have a lot of behavior. You're not going to be able to prove your time. It's hard. I understand that. I'm special needs parent. I see it. I live it 24/7. But you're not going to do the service to our kids by increasing the numbers. I know the budget. I know what you guys are up against. I'm connected with what's going on. But I encourage you, please don't put the safety of our kids on the line because of numbers.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Welcome, Ms. Canales.
It's worked out really nice. That classroom she mentioned where her child wasn't safe and had to be removed, that was my class. So thank you. This is a good follow-up. My name is Marisol and I'm the Montessori teacher at Chapman Heights. I'm here to let you know how upset I am about your proposal to increase the class size to 15 and how it will negatively impact our students. We seem to be driven by different motivations right now. I am driven by my students' well-being, their success, and their safety, while it seems that your motivation right now is more focused on a budget instead of our students. I am here to let you know the impacts of increasing class size will have on students, their learning, and their safety. I hope that will motivate you to care for our students as much as I do, and you will no longer push to increase class size. I got a taste of having a bigger class this year. My class was pushed to 13, which is the limit that it is now. I had 13 students with the biggest Montsevier classes this year, 2 classroom aides and 2 one-on-ones, and it sounds like it would be enough, but it's not. One of my aides was transferred to another position, so we had a vacancy that was rarely filled. I taught 6 different grades, kinder through 5th. We had 7 students with AACs, that means they had no language, and we had to teach how to talk to them on iPads, which is a huge skill I recommended. 4 students on behavior intervention plans in their IEPs, which means that these kids are extra special and they need a lot of support. It's on their IEPs, and by law, we have to follow what's on there. So what's the result from having such a big class with students with such a high needs and not enough support? I was responsible for teaching and implementing 64 IEP goals, tracking them and making sure that my students worked hard towards meeting their goals. Any guesses to how many goals were met on their IEPs? 15 were fully met on their IEPs. The rest of them were partially met or not met at all. We were not meeting their educational needs this year. We documented over 1,600 behaviors, time-stamped with a date on a spreadsheet, or you're browsing whenever you want. My staff is here as well. They were in the trenches with me. We have numerous injuries and scars and crazy stories we could share with you anytime. These behavior episodes included events like student displaying self-injurious behaviors like hitting their heads against hard surfaces, students injuring staff, students injuring students, students eloping or destroying the classroom. We use PCM procedures regularly. We had to use the Heimlich twice. That's how high needs these kids are with not having enough staff. That's really dangerous. Parents had to visit our class regularly. This was a special year. My parents are here. Gabe and Janet waved hello. They were my backup. When I couldn't keep their kids safe, I had to call them. There was nothing else I can do. Students missed time focused on working on their AAC, so I couldn't teach them how to talk to their parents, to their peers. Students were injured at school more times than I can count. That's the result of having 13 students in your class, in a Montsevier class with 4 adults. Our students met few of their IEP goals. We had crazy behaviors. That was the result of our year. Pushing our class size to 15 is ridiculous from our standpoint. And I hope this gives you a little taste of understanding what we go through and you don't push our class size to 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Welcome, Ms. Cantu.
Thank you. Good evening. I get very emotional. I have 2 children that are, that are special ed. Both of them work in the analysis class, and one of them was on that device, which now is able to communicate with that device. Luckily, they're not in a big class, but if they do get in a bigger class, they will not advance. I have another girl with intellectual delay. She just graduated from high school with a certificate of completion. Because we have small classes, she is able to grow. Her confidence is growing so much that she might even go to Crafton. She has a disability. And then I'm also an aide at these classes, and we are losing one of our aides to go to the middle school. So we will have 2, I'm a one-on-one, so we'll have 2 aides plus myself with 10 kids, and that's hard enough. I can only imagine with 13 how that is going to affect these kids. So please, please, listen to all of us and to not increase the class size. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hansel. Hello, Ms. Nace, welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jennifer Nace. I'm the parent of a Mod Sphere student who just completed 8th grade in the district. She's been here since the CEC. I also have the unique perspective of having been previously employed in the district. And during my employment, I worked with some of the students and teachers that would be affected by the changes that are proposed here tonight. I've been in these Mod Sphere classrooms and I've seen what their days can look like, and I've witnessed how spread thin the aides and educators can be. Aside from the educational support required for these students with different learning abilities, these classes contain students who frequently need assistance with personal care, ambulation, eloping or aggressive behaviors, feeding, and other behavioral supports. Many of these needs require physical attention from aides. Having the support of classroom aides is what allows our instructors to do their jobs well. There has been times that I've picked up my child from school and have seen that the classroom was short-staffed because aides were out sick and the classroom did not get substitute coverage. Meanwhile, the instructors and the available aides, if any, are juggling these high-need students and they're overwhelmingly outnumbered. There are clearly students here that require eyes on them constantly and or physical support. On those days when they're short-staffed, we have to consider what the rest of that day looked like. That's just what I see when I'm picking up. It's easy to see that they cannot afford to lose this support. I know some tasks require more than one adult. For example, if a student needs physical support for self-care, such as bathrooming, or other behavioral needs at the middle and high school level, that is a two-person job easily for students this age and size. Even on days when the classroom is fully staffed, those two-person tasks leave the class thin on the support that they already have. The safety and well-being of the students, educators, and staff requires that we maintain an appropriate number of aides in these classes. We cannot afford to lose paraprofessional support in these rooms. Growing class sizes is an unfortunate trend that we've seen in education for decades, but that said, Mod Sphere setting, how can our educators be expected to provide our students with safe and quality learning environment while working towards numerous IEP goals if they don't have the appropriate support to do so? The safety of not only our students, but our staff and educators requires adequate support. Our physical and mental well-being of our educators and aides is also an imperative consideration. They cannot provide their best to our students in subpar conditions, and we should not be asking them to try. As parents of children with special needs, we have to worry about things every day that most people never even have to give a thought to. And their educational setting and safety at school should not be one of those things. We shouldn't have to go home every day and fear what will happen to our children if the classroom support of paraprofessionals is reduced and class sizes increased. Quite frankly, I'm appalled that it's even up for discussion. And I know you're all highly educated, experienced professionals, and I know most of you were in the trenches at some point as well, and I don't think you forgot what that's like.
Thank you, Ms. Nace. Janet Ramirez and Gabriel Perez, I believe. Welcome. Hello.
Hi. Sorry, I'm a little bit.
It's okay. You're fine.
Hi, my name is Janet Ramirez. My son's name is Steven Schaefer. He has attended Chapman Elementary for the past 2 years, and that time he has made wondrous leaps and bounds in his academic progress. He has excelled in areas we had almost lost hope for. We give that credit to Ms. Canales and her team. This is the first year that he was here. It was a small class. I believe there was 8 students. With their ability, they dedicated one-on-one time with him. Us coming from a different district prior, where teachers were outnumbered and left overwhelmed, having to focus on keeping order for safety in classrooms rather than being able to teach the kids to help them progress, where it made me feel more like they were in a daycare than a classroom. This atmosphere with Ms. Canales and her team seems like a good godsend. Personally, knowing my child's behavior, they can be difficult to navigate. That's just speaking from my child alone. Having a smaller class helps them to be, having a smaller class helps them to be able to focus on each child's individual needs and learning style. By adding more kids to the classroom without additional aids will take away from the kids' learning experience. It's just also more stress on the teachers. And that's not gonna help my child. I've seen the progress he's made. If you see him right now, he's calm. He's been here since this started. And if this was 2 years ago, he would be screaming, he would be yelling, crying, hitting himself. He self-harms. So we try to support our teachers as much as we can. But adding to the classroom, it's not gonna help my child or any kid that is in that classroom. It's hard. It's hard as a mom.
It's okay.
To have a teacher that cares so much for them, that are doing their best, to see a lot of teachers here fighting for their kids, for our kids. It's not even their kids. I just hope you guys listen to them and fight with them for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez.
Stephen Schaefer.
Welcome.
My son also, Stephen Schaefer. I'm here to represent Ms. Cannell's class, as my son's mom had stated previously. When he first started the class, he was nonverbal, very self-harmful. Due to the smaller size of the class, he did improve like leaps and bounds, and I credit all that for the teachers and the teacher's aid. By increasing the class size, it does put children at risk, puts teachers at risk, puts education at risk in general, and it's unacceptable. As teachers and Board of Education, you guys need to make a stand. It's more than just a budget, but it's for the youth. It's for the education of the system and for our children to grow up strong. Children with special needs need much more attention. And as every other parent, as a man, I'm getting emotional. And I rely on him to help guide me as a parent. And I rely on their teaching to help me and to help him. I've done a lot of research since I've been notified, and everything I've come across, including, I believe, the National Library of Medicine, which I emailed several of you earlier today, everything has stated that smaller classes benefits students. Larger classes do not. Special needs kids needs attention. They need the education. They need one-on-one. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Steve Lloyd.
Welcome, Christine.
Good evening, President Snellings. I did just what Kelly did. President Snellings, board members, and Superintendent Kelly Beeks. I come to you today as the Vice President of the YCEA Union. And I come because I had a member who sent a letter who could not be here but would like for you to hear it. But before I do that, I just want to take a moment to thank these parents and these teachers who have come to speak to you from their heart. They're not asking you to lower their class size. They're not asking you to lower their workload or to give them less cases. They're asking you to stay status quo, and they're asking not for themselves, but the safety of those students that they take care of. So I would just like to take a minute and thank all of you who came out. This letter comes from one of your special mod severe teachers at a secondary level. It's been very troubling that the district has decided to negotiate in a manner that isn't beneficial to students when it comes to class size for our most vulnerable and most volatile students. Cramming 15 of our neediest students into the same classroom is dangerous for both staff and students. Specifically, our K-5 success students being in the same classroom is already difficult, but increasing that classroom size increases that danger. As you increase the class size, you're not increasing the room size. This, combined with the inconsistent reliability of classroom aides supporting, further endangers these fragile students due to substitutes not picking up jobs when aides are absent. That is the main problem. It's not so much even raising the kids. If you cannot consistently guarantee that there will be the aide support every day, because daily we are missing aides who will not take the job and puts the kids in danger. At the very least, our success program is not and will not be set up for success next year. We understand money is tight right now, but cutting back money from the students that need the most support isn't the way to address the issue. Special education teachers invite you to come to our classrooms and see for yourself the needs of our students, and that putting more bodies in the classroom isn't what's in the best interest of their educational experience. As the VP of YCEA, I highly recommend that next year you visit some of these classrooms and see what the impact of your decisions truly have on the staff and students involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming and giving your comments, and for those who came to support them. Now we're moving on to 7.01. This is the CRIROP report. Ms. Miller.
Yes. Okay, so this last month, we were able to celebrate with CRIROP the Evening of Excellence. It's a wonderful evening. This year it was at Valley College. And it was a wonderful evening because we got to award over $21,000 in scholarships for all the various students in the Colton, Redlands, Yucaipa school districts for the different programs. It was just a wonderful evening. But one of the things that I really loved the most was the showcase, where the students set up tables for the various programs, and we got to see firsthand what they're learning, and all the students were able to present, and I think that's a really good quality for them to learn to present and show us, and it was just a really wonderful evening, and so that's one of my most favorite things of the year for CRIROP. So that's what we did.
Thank you, Debbie.
Okay.
Okay, now we're moving on to our action session. 8.01 is the superintendent's employment agreement. This is reflecting the raises that the rest of the district staff received. So do I have a motion to approve 8.01 as presented?
Move approval.
I have a motion by board member Bannister. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by board member Debbie Miller. Any questions or comments? Mr. Miller.
I'm not sure how I want to ask this. President Snellings or superintendent, in looking at how it was presented to us, the contract extensions in themselves, they just seem to continue to go on. Last contract that I was provided showed that it was in 2021 was the last contract. It looks like they're 3-year deals as they go forward. I understand that we're giving them the same increase that we gave our certificate employees, 4.5, which is part of that B2 clause they have in their contract. But what's hard to look at, there's no data for us to look at as a board of what benchmarking would be available, because there's no comparables to other school districts. We have a San Bernardino County of 33 school districts. There's no comparables attached to see what those contracts look like. There's no doubt that I think our superintendent and our assistant superintendents, our cabinets, do a fantastic job. I'll put you guys up against anybody. We're very, very happy with what you do. But for me personally, and I obviously come from the city world, there's no comparables. We do comparables with our bargaining units. They do salary surveys, both classified and certified. They come and use different districts to do comparables, but we don't have that data, even though I understand this is the way education works, as I've been told. For these high positions, we should probably have some comparables, and I'll listen to you when I get done, no problem. But we should have something in front of us of comparable contracts and language before we make decisions on how we move forward on these contracts. I think it's only good business, personally. It's not, we think you do a great job. I have no problem with how we're performing. It may be that we find out that as we compare with these other districts, that we're either competitive and maybe we're reasonable or we're under. I don't know. You could look at school districts that have comparable size maybe from the 8,000 to 12,000 students, maybe you could do ADA. Maybe there's a way you can compare. I think there's some things we do special that other districts don't do that you can make the case for, clearly, to make the case for the salaries that are requested. Clearly, I understand the 4.5 increase was tied to the raises that we gave our wonderful teachers, no problem with that. But it's that there's no document data behind it. I'm probably the only one that's asking this because you guys know I come from a different world. I'm not from the education world, but I'm used to dealing with contracts. Not that I'm uncomfortable with it per se. It's just, I would like to see us get that data before we vote on this. Whether we move it to a July meeting when everybody's here, we have time to get the data and we can look at it and look at these contracts and really, it's important for us to the public to be transparent on what we're doing, which means we have data in front of us. We have other contracts, we've done comparables, and our great employees are comparable at this, wherever that is, wherever it falls, that we're paying the right wages, we're the right contract language that we think is appropriate as a board. Especially when we've been doing belt tightening in all other areas, we need to look at those things. And it doesn't mean that we're not performing well or we're not good. I love, our staff does a great job. But we do this with our other bargaining units because we're the top management team. That doesn't mean we should do it any differently, in my opinion. Now, I'm only one. I had expressed this already previously with the superintendent when I went through agenda review because I looked for where's the comps, where's the comparisons, and then we had a discussion about, well, and this is how we've been doing it for a while, and I understood I had a problem with that. But I look at it differently. And we can't talk about it until I get into open session. So, that's my feelings. Again, I'm happy with our staff. You do a great job. I'm very happy personally with how we operate. But I think we have to do good business too. If we're asking certain groups that we look at, how we negotiate contracts, we also need to look at top management as responsible board members, especially when we heard a lot tonight too. We need to consider all that because some of the considerations we have to have is we have to consider the district's financial situation, determine the appropriate salaries and benefit package, not just salary based off the 4.5 increase, but what's the benefit package look like? What's the total compensation? Where are areas in that contract that we can look at that's comparable to what we're giving other employees? And then that has to be transparent where the public can see what we're doing. There's nothing matter that. When I was a police chief, my contract was public. People can look at it and see what I made and what my benefits were, and there's no problem with that. That's part of being transparent. And I wanted to get that out.
What's your question?
I don't really have a question other than either I would like to move this to July, President Snellings, so we have to have that if we can get that information. That would be if we can do that. I guess that's my question. Okay. But I couldn't ask the question without explaining because we can't talk about it ahead of time.
Right, I understand.
Okay, so
it's hard.
I'm stuck, without looking like I'm not supporting.
Yeah, and I understand, Bob, and I appreciate you wanting to be transparent. The contracts are public. People can look at these, and the raise is based on what their existing salaries are right now. So if we're gonna look at comparables, for me, it would be when we negotiate contracts the next time, because these contracts have already been negotiated and voted for by this Board of Education. So the numbers are the numbers. We can't change that right now. So I would agree that it might be good to look at comparables when we're making decisions down the road, but I don't see how it's going to help us make a decision on these contracts when it's 4.5% on what an existing salary already is.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that portion, but the contract language I was showing runs us out to 2027. The last contract they signed was 2021.
Is that correct?
So they don't have a raise for 4 years? Is that what I'm?
Let me explain that to you. I don't know.
Would you like me to explain?
Yeah.
Thank you, President Snelling. So our contracts have amendments to them when there's something to have amended that either I would bring forward on behalf of the assistant soups, or I would bring on my behalf to the board president. So, but our amendments, I don't think there's been an amendment I can't even remember a time when there was an amendment made that wasn't part of the Me Too clause that's in the contract for the same salary increase as the rest of the staff. There was maybe, I'm thinking, board member Bannister, 14, 15, maybe the Board of Education amended my contract.
Yeah, and I do remember a discussion at that time when we kind of set it's almost like setting a baseline, and then there's the annual raises off of that. And I remember that when we set the baseline, we did do comparables, and we did look at districts of comparable size. When we hired, and when it's appropriate to look at the salary, we're just approving a raise. So it would be the same thing, I think, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, that if we decided to change the salary schedule for our teachers, if we're going to compress step and column and do all that kind of stuff, that's a whole other thing. But when we negotiate a raise, then that just is on top of what is already there. Maybe I muddied the waters.
No, we thought about adjusting a salary schedule and making adjustments to benefits graphs. That's all looked at a total compensation model.
Yeah.
So like Mr. Stanley said, there's a number, and then that number gets sliced and diced different ways, but whatever an adjustment might be, there's always circling back to what is the total cost of all the changes.
Right, and to add another little detail, I am aware because when I first came on the board, I was receiving my health benefit based on the fact that I was a teacher who retired from this school district. So my out-of-pocket for my health benefit, when that elapsed and I turned 65 and I'm now part of the management team for my insurance cost went up. These guys pay more for their insurance than teachers do, because they put it on their salary instead of having it as compensation. So it's there's all those adjustments, and they negotiate that.
Correct.
President Stillings, may I?
Yeah.
In regards to comparables, the county superintendent does do yearly comparables, not only for superintendent's executive cabinet, but also for principals and management and teachers and classified. So he compiles the information. He is working on that right now. When normally contracts have, and everybody's settled maybe a little bit ahead of us. We wait until the latter meetings to work through getting everything approved. We always have either our teachers or association or our classified go first, and we bring their contracts, and then management follows, and then we're last. So the comparables that, and I think this happens in other districts, the comparables that the superintendent of schools puts together is not always accurate, because sometimes there's a lag in districts providing the information. They have to have a cutoff date. So I say that because I know several that are still in negotiations for the prior year or two. Sometimes they're doing negotiation in arrears, basically. So it's not 100% accurate, but we can always get that information. But he does provide a pretty thick packet that's, on occasion just with some minor adjustments that I could ask him to share with the board at some time when it's ready.
Okay. One last
Go ahead, Bob.
thing, Mike. Am I incorrect in the way I read this, that we're extending the contract 3 more years, right? And 4 for you.
The request on the contract is to add a year, yes, which gives 4 years for my contract and continuing 3 years for the assistant soups. But not, and theirs is not added to because they're sitting at 3 right now. They already have 3.
Okay, where I go back to my original point, if we're going to extend, I'm requesting that we hold this until, I guess, July, everybody will be here, till we get the comparables in front of us. I'm sure it'll turn out fine. I'm not concerned about it. That we at least have some data in front of us. We may be under, we don't even know until we have something in front of us.
We certainly can't afford to give them any more.
But the 4.5 is, it's tight in their deal anyways already. I'm not changing anything. Where are we at? What do you want to know?
Is anybody else in agreement with pulling these tonight? I'm not.
I'm not. I think that that's a great option for moving forward. I think they've done the legwork and we've all done the legwork for this already. And if we do put a hold on this, it's going to set back all the procedures and things that we need to do before the start of school.
Okay, so we've agreed we're not going to pull it, Bob. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Any noes?
I'll abstain.
Okay, so we have 4 and 1 abstention. Moving on to 8.02, this is the approval of the employment agreement for the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. I'll make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
I have a second by Board Member Bannister. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any abstentions or a no?
I will abstain.
8.03 is the approval of the employment agreement for the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services / Student Services. Is there a motion to approve? I have a motion by Board Member Coe. I'll second the item. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and I assume you're going to abstain, Bob?
Yes.
Okay. 8.04 is the approve the employment agreement for the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. I'll make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Board Member Bannister. All those in favor say aye. Chair votes aye, and Mr. Miller abstains.
Yes.
Moving on to 8.05, the Superintendent's Office Delegation of Authority to Hire. I believe this relates to timing and board meetings and those kinds of things. Be able to get people in place and for the board to act in good faith after you. Okay.
Just want to make sure we don't lose any candidates
Right.
that might be available.
I have a motion to approve. I have a motion by Board Member Bannister and a second by Board Member Coe. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. Now we're moving on to Business Services, a public hearing for the 2025 proposed budget. Dr. Breeman's already up there.
Thank you, Mr. Snellings. President Snellings, members of the board. Ms. Spinks, thanks for the opportunity to present the 24-25 budget. If I don't, sometimes I forget, but I really like to thank Ms. Amber Chavez, our fiscal coordinator. If someone could keep an eye on her, sometimes I say some things she doesn't agree with. And so if her eyes get really big, just nod and I'll slow it down. So thank you for being here, Amber, this evening. So on the slide, the budget process, this is where we're at. We're starting, I give a link and here we are again, but the 24-25 budget cycle. And so this evening is the public hearing. And next week we'll look for an adoption. We have to do this all prior to the state adopting their budget. They're going through negotiations now. I'll talk a little bit about that. Once the state approves their budget, then if there are budget adjustments, and there probably will be, then we have 45 days to bring it back to the board, explain the budget adjustments, expenditures, revenue. So that would be in August if there's changes. And then here we go on the budget cycle. So this is a public hearing. There's no vote tonight, just here. So there's budget assumptions that you look at when you're developing the budget. First and foremost is a cost of living adjustment. And so we get these estimates throughout the year. So right now we have an estimate for the 27-28 COLA. And so we look out in the future years and we base our budget, our multiple year projection, our 3-year budget on the latest information. So I just want to show how it changed. This time last year when I came before you, the projected COLA for 24-25 was 3.94. And so we built a 3-year budget, including this year coming up, based on the idea that the COLA would be 3.94. As you are aware, and I presented at second interim, when the January budget came out, the proposal, that COLA was 0.76. And at that time, I talked about a $3 million gap in revenue for the 24-25 school year. And in the May revised, it was at 1.07. And then we'll see where it ends up when they finally adjust their budget. So you can see the roller coaster of COLA planning that we have to go through, and you can see the 25-26 roller coaster on the 26-27. So we can take those main numbers, and that's the best information we have, and that's what we build our 3-year budget on. And I can guarantee at least 25-26 and 26-27 numbers will be wrong, but that's the best estimate we have now. As with every budget and every year, we have increased expenditures in payroll. Our CalPERS system is seeing an increase on the classified member sign, special education, utilities, insurance, and other services. You can see there what the CalPERS rate is. So CalPERS rate for 24-25, for every dollar we spend on salary, 27 cents goes to retirement. So you can see that number going up for the next couple of years. CalSTRS is staying at 19.1. The CalSTRS factor takes an active legislature to increase that number, so it's stable in our 3-year projection. But I just want to share a little bit about the expenses. So we go to the next slide. The other major assumption besides COLA is ADA, average daily attendance, the number of students we have at school every day. And there's 2 ADA numbers. One is the current ADA. So we were excited to see we were up 10 ADA for the 23-24 school year. So that doesn't mean 10 students. That means 10 students came to school. It is increased enrollment, but we had 10 students more attend school than we did the year before. And so in the 3-year projection, we are assuming that we're in flat ADA for the next 3 years. That's the first time we've shown that to you. We've seen some growth in the community, some building. We were up 10. We'll have to see how that comes out when students come back to school in August. But that's not how we're funded. How we're funded is on a 3-year average of ADA. So they look at the last 3 years, they combine that ADA, and that's the ADA we're funded on. So you can see for the 24-25 school year, we'll be funded on 7367. So the reason I did that 3-year average ADA was during COVID, many districts saw a huge decline in ADA. And so to soften that decline, they took a 3-year average. The 23-24, you can see 74-77, that's what we were funded on. That's kind of a false 3-year, because the 3rd year before that was a hold harmless ADA year. And you can see as we get closer away from that kind of false code ADA, that the funded and the average 3-year get closer and closer together. So if we had more than 7367 ADA next year, we would be funded on that, but that would be a growth of 252 students. And so our assumption is we're funded on 3-year ADA. You can see in 25-26 that goes down, even though our current ADA will stay the same, the 3-year average is declining significantly. That's our ADA picture. That's our second major assumption. Next slide, please. So with COLA and our ADA and unrestricted general fund revenue, $106 million in 23-24, for 24-25, $105 million. And so a decrease of about $500,000 in just base unrestricted funding in the LCFF. So remember I talked in that second interim in March that we're going to run into some fiscal issues. So we have an increase in classified payroll, increase in benefits, increase in special ed contribution. So we have an estimated deficit next year of $2.8 million. And that's about the number I shared with you back in March. We were about to have about a $3 million deficit. These are estimates. We're still closing the books now. But we think right around $2.8 million next year. We have a $2.8 million problem next year. And so how are we going to fix that? Next slide. So $2.8 million for us, depending on what news story you read or who you talk to or listen to, the state has a $37.9 billion deficit. And so they have solutions. So on the left, let's stick on the column on the left. So they propose different things to solve their fiscal crisis or our fiscal crisis. Use of the reserves, one time. Reductions in programs, revenue borrowing, delays, fund shifts, and deferrals. We cannot do revenue borrowing for long term. We can't delay. Everyone, we're gonna get people paid and programs taken care of. Funding shifts, we can't do for a long period of time. And we surely can't do deferrals. But that's kind of the solution at the state level that they're still grappling with. There still isn't a final solution for that $37.9 billion deficit. They've done some things initially to solve some of those issues, but 37.9 billion, up or down a billion or two or five, depending on when you listen. And then if you go to us, our 2.8 million. So how do we solve that for 24-25? So we had board committed funds. Several years ago, we had a $1 million board committed funds for reserve for loss and future funding or operational costs. We're going to use that. That was board approved for those reasons, and we're obviously here. Board meeting ago, we had $1.6 million in committed facility projects that the board decommitted by board resolution to bring back into the general fund. And then the reduction, as you all are aware, obviously, of reduction of some programs and staff before the March 15th date last year. And so that's how we're getting to our $2.8 million solution. Just like to point out that the top one over here on the state budget, as well as our reserves, those are one-time costs. And so that fills the hole for 24-25, but I'll share a little bit about the outlook. Yeah. So this, one thing also on the bottom row, state of California does an annual budget, only required to do an annual budget. We do a 3-year budget. So the school district, not only do we have to look at 24-25, we have to look at 25, 26, 26, 27, that gets approved at the county level for 3 years. Next slide. So this is my only kind of chart we're looking at here, but you can see the revenue, estimated revenue across the top, 105 million, 106 million, 109 million. But then you can see the expenditures, 107, 109, 112. And so we're able to use some of that one-time money to increase the beginning fund balance, where it says fund balance, beginning fund balance, $13.4 million. And you can see our ending fund balance is 11 million. Year 2, 11 million starting, 8 million finishing, and then year 3, 8 million, and then 4.3. So let's talk about what that, look at that ending fund balance. It looks like 11 million, 8 million, and 4 million. We're fine, we're good. But let's look at the components of ending fund balance. I'd like to highlight the blue line. The blue line is the amount of money we're required for economic uncertainty. So 3% of that, of our expenditures, the $4.1 million for the first 2 years of 4.3, we have to have that. Our payroll is around $5.6 million a month, so that's not a month of payroll, but that's for the minimum required by the state. And then you can see that ADA contingency line. So that's our savings account, and that's what we're just going to survive on for the next 3 years. Unless we make some changes. So 6 million in our savings account, 24-25, goes to 3 million, second year, 51,000. And I know if we look at 27-28, which we're not required to do, but Mrs. Tavis and I are working on that now. If you can see $3 million going down, not part of this budget, but when I come to you next year, that 27-28 number, when we look at it now, we'll be short $3 million in 27-28. So we're going to need to do some adjustments throughout the year so that when we get to this time next year, we don't have a negative budget. Next slide. We do have some grant money remaining. So the Extended Learning Opportunity Program, this is the program that we're required for students in TK through 6 to offer a 9-hour day if students are foster youth English learners or low income. We have a little bit of educator effectiveness grant money. This is what we use for our CTI program for our teachers to get the credential. A little bit left, the A through G completion, arts, music, instructional, discretionary block grant. We have 3 years to spend that. 2 more years after this. You'll see an item tonight in our plan for technology. And then our learning recovery block grant, we have a few years to spend. And we've gone down from 10 to 6.9. So those are our remaining grants. Remember at the height of COVID, this list was about 20 programs, and so that no longer is the case. Next slide. I just want to share CECA, a short slide of CECA. CECA is Pretty simple. They have a $2.4 million beginning fund balance. They're gonna end with 2.3, so they have a little bit less than $100,000 expenditure over revenue projections. We'll see, that's almost solely based on staffing. And so we'll see, there are some new staff at CECA with different years of service to see where we end up there next year. So the next steps, June 18th, we'll come to the board and ask for you to approve the budget. I mentioned that California will then approve their budget. And then I imagine you can almost guarantee it in August, I'll be back looking at the final state numbers and showing you how that impacts YCJUSD. So I have to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? I wish the news was better. I know that. I mean, it's going to be a tough few years ahead of us if things don't turn around in the state, certainly. Okay.
It's just, I'm always struck by the magic that you have to do these budgets based on very nebulous information that's just like the smoke. It just shifts constantly. So thank you for the work, and then you'll do it again, and then you'll do it again, and then you'll do it again.
Yeah,
I guess it's job security.
We did see overall, really happy report. We did see an increase in our share in the Friday letter, an increase in 88% at the school site. So the students who are enrolled, we're seeing an uptick on them coming to school. Now that resulted in only 1088 overall, but we'll see if we can at least stay stagnant. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah,
so schools are working really hard to get students into school at a higher percentage than were the year before.
I think board member Bob Miller has
I promise shortly. Okay. There's really no way to get in front of that snowball, though. I mean, I would hope our ADA would help, but they help a little, no matter what we do. I mean, realistically, how do you get in front? We know what that snowball is going to look like. You know, I mean, I'm just thinking.
I think, Bob, the truth is we don't know what the snowball's going to look like.
It just looks familiar from.
Yeah.
I don't want to be negative, but
well,
we got to get in front of it.
I've been looking at these, I mean, because even when I was a teacher, I was looking at these budgets from the union point of view, and you never know until the last minute. And I will point out, one year it was doom, despair, and misery, remember? And I said, wait, it's going to change, it'll turn around, and all of a sudden we had a surplus. I mean, yeah, so it can happen. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. So keep your fingers crossed, but prepare for the worst.
Thank you, Dr. Bremer.
Good job.
Okay, we are required to have a hearing, and then this will be come back to us next week at our Tuesday meeting for approval. So I will open the hearing regarding the 2024-25 budget at 8:14. And I don't see anybody rushing up to the, it is. We'll close it at call it 8:15. Now we're moving on to 8.07. This is a public hearing regarding our Education Protection Act spending plan. Any information on this, Dr. Bremen, before we have the hearing?
This is just an annual update. In one of those crisis years, backed by CTA, the state approved Proposition 30. And so that gave us some money. There's some taxes on certain folks, and this money just has to go to teachers. And in this report, we show that all the $25 million, and it wasn't $25 million extra dollars, it was $25 million for that gap. And so we do use all of our EPA money on teachers.
Okay, and any questions on this? Okay, we need to have a hearing on this also, so I will open the hearing at 8:15. And I will close it at 8:16. I don't believe we act on this right now. Is this coming back to us or, right? Okay. Now we're going on to 8.08. This is also a public hearing related to the substantiation of need for excess of the minimum recommended reserve for economic uncertainty. Sounds like a politician came up with that. Or accountant, I don't know. So anything about this, Eric?
This is just our assigned balance. When I talked about our savings account, if you look at these three attachments, in the second subsequent year, you'll see that 51,000. This is just justifying what is in our any fund balance.
Right. Okay. Okay. Any questions or comments? All right. We will open the hearing at 8:16 and close it at 8:17. 8.09 is a resolution for temporary inter-fund borrowing. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
I move to approve that.
I have a motion by Board Member Bob Miller, a second by Board Member Coe. Any questions or comments? I think this is a yearly thing. Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.10 is a repair of fiber cabling at Ridgeview Elementary School. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister and a second by Board Member Coe. Questions or comments?
Yeah, Dr. Freeman, what happened there? It was we had an act of God, or what happened?
No, so the cabling wore out. We actually lost internet connectivity to several of the classrooms during the school year at Ridgeview Elementary School for a few days. And so as we were exploring that, we found damage. And so this is to prevent that from other buildings. It's time to repair that fiber cable.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. We have a, what's that?
It was an act of rats.
Oh,
I
it was-
think.
yeah, it was-
asked if it was mold.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. Number 8.11 is the purchase of a work order and asset management system. Do I have a motion for approval?
So move.
I have a motion by Board Member Debbie Miller and a second by Board Member Bannister. Any questions or comments?
My understanding is this is to make our responses more efficient and better tracking, and in the long run, it should save us some money.
Absolutely. And this is using routine restricted maintenance, our maintenance funds, not general fund. This allows schools to attach pictures to work orders and do some other things. Also, track our assets better, anything over $500 from the district, so we can get a handle on our assets, but as well support the schools in a more effective manner.
Excellent. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.12 is the installation of district-owned flooring at multiple sites. Do I have a motion for approval? I have a motion by Board Member Coe. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second by Board Member Bob Miller. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. We have a kitchen floor drain and water system for Oakview High School. Do I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments? Okay, glad we can do this. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. Business Services, Electrical Grades, California Street Campus. Do I have a motion for approval? I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Board Member Debbie Miller. Any questions or comments?
This is ILCS.
Correct.
Yeah, this is using their KIT funds, their kitchen infrastructure and training funds. They receive KIT funds just as we did.
Okay.
And so they're paying for it, but it's our facility. So go through the board approval process.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any abstentions? Okay, just want to make sure. Okay. Passes unanimously. The next is another for the California Street Campus. This is a fencing paint project. I have a motion to approve.
Motion to.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister, second.
Second.
Second by Board Member Debbie Miller. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And we got one abstention by Board Member Coe. Passes 4 with 1 abstention. 4-0. 8.16 is the new classroom and office furniture for Yucaipa Adult Schools expansion. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Board Member Bob Miller and a second by Board Member Coe. Any questions or comments?
I'm just so proud of the fact that we're expanding that program. It's
good.
so awesome.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 8.17 is classroom rents at Yucaipa Adult School. I have a motion for approval.
Move approval.
I have a second. Motion by Board Member Bannister, second by Board Member Coe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Vote aye. Passes unanimously. Now we're going to move on to another presentation by Dr. Anderson, I presume, regarding the local control accountability plan, and we'll have a hearing for that and then presumably have it here for approval next Tuesday.
Thank you,
Go ahead,
President
Jamie.
Snellings, board members, Superintendent Binks and Cabinet. I know Dr. Freeman tired you out, so I'm going to try and dazzle you with this presentation for the local control and accountability plan. There are several changes to the plan this year in the sense of template and goals and actions. So what I'll do is I'll explain it as it goes along. But overall, the differences between the previous year's plan and this year's plan is I tried to make it more cohesive. I know the work within our departments and divisions and at our school sites is we've been trying to align pieces more so it makes more sense to have the connections. So that was the whole focus this year. So if we look at our current plan for the 24-25 school year, we have a total of 5 goals. Previously, the last 3-year plan for our local control and accountability plan, or LCAP, was 6 goals. So this year we have 3 that I've condensed and combined together to include all academics, all interventions, as well as our career technical education. And then there's been addition of what's called equity multiplier goals that I'll explain that are goals 4 and 5. So in addition to the funding, going back a little bit. Sorry. It's okay. I appreciate your quickness. I just want to explain some things because if you look at this, we have a little bit less, well, not a little bit, but less federal funds because we don't have as much COVID money coming in. Also, we have 16.9 million of local control supplemental concentration grant, but then if you look at the budgeted expenditures, we're over. And I did my math right. I did teach high school English, but part of that reason is because other state funds includes the equity multiplier that funds goals 4 and 5 for our schools that are identified equity multipliers. And so I'll explain what that is.
Okay.
I just wanted to point that out. Thank you, Lance. Okay, going into the plan development process, really the focus for our local control accountability plan is to involve all of our educational partners. And I do really want to thank our union groups, our classified and certificated staff. We really appreciate everyone's input and especially our parents this last year because we've really expanded our parent groups. I know that Dr. Brown was able to meet with our foster group and group homes this last year and really extend that voice. So we really appreciate that. And I know Mrs. Burkhart has also added to our special education parent groups as well. So I appreciate everyone's input. And really the work from Ella Aceves, as you guys know, she's amazing. As you guys saw how articulate she is, she really increased our student voices at our elementary, middle, and all of our high schools. So we appreciate that input on here. One requirement that was added is student voice this year. We've always done that in the past, but just so you all know, it isn't now a state requirement that student voices are involved. So part of the process is looking at our engagement meetings and also the plan development. And going along with Dr. Freeman's budget is we have the public hearing tonight and then approval next week on June 18th. Now you're just pausing until I get back to land. So part of going into more of our educational partners, I just wanted to define it a little bit more on what that looks like. Along with our parent advisory committees, we also have our English learner district committee as well, and we also have our district personnel of our school and district administrators. We also include certificated staff, including our teachers and counselors as well, and also classified and also union representatives. And then we also include within that our K-12 teacher teams throughout the school year. We receive feedback and input from that team as well, along with our students and also our CELPA administrators. So we have to also work with our CELPA director. And then along with that adds into our equity multiplier schools. So what that is our schools that are identified having certain characteristics. They have over 70% of low socioeconomic students and over 25% of student mobility rate in one school year. So that means that students don't finish the school out at one school during that one school year. So our schools that were identified as equity multiplier schools were Green Valley High School, Oakview High School Education Center, and then also Green Valley Independent Study, which is otherwise known as our PEP Plus program for our K-8 students, which is our independent study program. So with goal 1, this goal is really combining all of our academic focus interventions and also career technical education. Within this goal, it really focuses on not only grade level standards, but preparing our students for graduating from high school and also life after high school. This is the majority of where the focus went for all of our goals. Within this, it's a requirement for us to also include all of the state priorities. So that's why I list them on every goal, because it is a state requirement that we focus on that. So within here, we have 13 actions and 24 metrics. Most of the pieces remained the same, but I renamed things to make more sense. So instead of just merely maybe a position or an action, we kind of focused more on what the topic or focus is. So in looking at the actions, I wanted to also include the data that I presented back in the mid-year review back in January, because I just wanted to go back to the why. The data is what drives us in the decision making, and also along with our educational partner input. So I just wanted to make sure to show that alignment piece again on how and why these goals and actions were developed. So a focus is really for our students with their college and career readiness, but also our high quality instruction and the amazing job our schools do, and also professional development, but also language acquisition support. So one piece of that is for our English learner students, because with looking at the data from last year, one area that we have to focus on is for our English learner support. So part of the actions, as we can see here, this one goal has numerous actions regarding our visual performing arts and also our STEAM teachers, which are included in the arts education and enrichment. For career technical education, we have two separate goals that support our academies and our career technical education within our middle and high schools. And also, I know Mrs. Miller gave the report from CRI-ROPER, regional occupational programs as well. With college readiness, that focuses more on our advanced via individual determination programs at the high school level, and also dual enrollment, as well as support for our advanced placement students taking the tests, but also our PSAT and SAT tests as well. For our English learner site support, we are required to develop individual actions for our English learners because it is an area of improvement for our district. So within that, we have support from our English language development teachers and also our English language paraprofessionals at the site, as well as the district support, which would be our special projects director and special projects technician, because those positions help to oversee not only student progress, but also the state and federal requirements. For graduation readiness support, that goes along with our support outside the traditional school setting. So that looks like our summer school support for extra credit recovery, but also our independent study programs as well. And then also along with it is instructional academic support provided by all of our instructional aides. This is grades elementary all through the high school level. Also including instructional technology support, as well as our literacy educational enrichment provided by our library technicians and librarians. Also with our long-term English learners, or they're also known as LTELs. So on our dashboard, there's not a data point or a metric for LTELs, but next year there will be. Even though we don't have data, I was required to develop an action for this in preparation for it. So part of this would be adding extra support at the sites, which would be extra teacher support for staff monitoring on our English learners' progress, because we want to prevent an LTEL. So an LTEL would be a student who's been an English learner longer than 7 years. So we want to decrease that number, and we want our students to be what's called reclassified English proficient. With 112, the school level support is provided with our schools when they write their school plans each year that you'll be seeing at the next board meeting, and also in July from our individual schools developing their plans. But this allows for them to provide that individualized support specific to their schools. So I know that it's also known as CECAs, but it allows our schools to provide that academic enrichment and also intervention and parent engagement activities specific for their school sites, along with staff professional development for certificated and classified staff. With goal 2, this specifically focuses on healthy, physical, and emotionally safe learning environments. So within goal 2, we specifically talk about the focus for our students through our counselors, including all of our school counselors and then behavioral health counselors as well. And that goes along with also our bilingual liaisons who help support our schools by developing that relationship between parent and community and also the schools. Also within goal 2 is also talking about our deans that provide that positive behavior intervention support, as well as that attendance support. I know Dr. Breeden talked about a little bit of increase in attendance, and we go with any growth is amazing at this point. Along with that too would be the social emotional learning support in curriculum and programs. So it's not only the curriculum, but also our programs known as where everyone belongs, and also the lead crew at the high school. So that helps our students build relationships when they're transitioning into that next level. With goal, oh, I went way ahead. Okay, that's goal 2 metrics.
That's my bad.
I know, I thought you were quit. Yeah, I thought you were testing me if I knew the goal. It was okay, Lance. With goal 3, this is our parent engagement goal. This is really important for us to not only increase our parent engagement, but also with our communities. And really a focus has not only been with our Family Learning Center and our bilingual parent engagement specialists, but it's really our goal for next year because we feel as if this year we've really increased our parent trainings and workshops, especially for our Spanish-speaking parents. And now next year we want to bring also those trainings more to the school sites individually to meet the individual school needs for our parent workshops and trainings, and then also provide more English-speaking trainings as well. And this is just a little bit of what we did do. I know if you remember us bringing the Parent Institute for Quality Education and some of our parents speaking that have graduated from those programs, as well as numerous computer classes and also the powers of family business, which would talk about nutrition, anger management, social media, different pieces for our parents to support their students. Goal 4 now is specifically talking about Green Valley High School and Oakview High School. These goals specifically have been developed, and Dr. Brown went and worked with Green Valley High School and also Oakview High School's staff and prepared a needs assessment and received the feedback and input from the staff on what types of actions should be developed based on the need. So these actions were developed specifically to improve suspension rate, but also the college career indicators for all of our students, but also our low income and Hispanic students specifically, and as well as our students with disabilities and also suspension rate. So for goal 4 actions at these schools, we've seen our community liaison position that currently is split between Green Valley High School and Oakview High School really help increase attendance at both of those schools this year. So one action is to add additional community liaisons at Green Valley High School and the PEP Plus program, and then also at Oakview High School. And then also to add additional English language support paraprofessionals. Right now, currently, those schools receive 3-hour support, and we're looking to increase that to 6-hour support at the sites. Also, the needs assessment showed a need for professional development and adolescent literacy and also student engagement. And then also our schools and also our educational partners really talked about wanting those pre-apprenticeship programs and more work-based learning programs at our schools. So we're excited to help expand that. And then goal 5 is the specific goal to help decrease chronic absenteeism for our low-income Hispanic and white students at Green Valley Independent Study. And why I'm mentioning student groups specifically is because I'm required to list all student groups at every single school in this plan that has the red indicator or is low performing. So we have to specifically address the area in which our students have to improve. So at PEP Plus, a big support would be for student engagement and attendance. So part of that would be that community liaison position would be split between Green Valley High School and also the PEP Plus program. And then professional development, there showed a need of mathematics and student engagement. One example of student engagement would be project-based learning. And I know that piece, it's almost what Ella explained in her feedback from students wanting is more hands-on learning. That's anyone have any questions? Yes, Mrs. Miller.
I have one. It just popped out a few times to me. When you say community liaisons help improve absenteeism, what? You said that in goal 3, I think. Make kids want to come to school, basically, right?
Honestly, I think it's Aries Lewis and her connection that she has with families and our students. Specifically with community liaison, that position too can also do home visits. So we're also looking to see how our community liaisons can help support at the secondary level, and then our dean positions can help at the elementary level with home visits regarding attendance.
Love it. And did you specify that she won classified employee of the year for the state?
Yeah. She's pretty amazing. And really it's also her experience at post-secondary level that I know helps. So we are actually are looking for her to lead in training our other community liaisons that we bring on board.
Love it. Love it.
Any other questions related to, go ahead.
The first part of the president, by the way, this is great, Jamie, the way you laid it out this year. It was great. Thank you. You had mentioned the first part of the presentation about 70% low socioeconomic status. How do we get that number? How do we know what the cutoff is?
It's at least 70%. So if it's above that, it's at least that each school has to have at least 70% low socioeconomic identification of the student groups at that school site.
Well, how do we quantify that is what I mean.
Really, what that includes would be our students of poverty, our foster youth, our homeless students.
You're looking for the definition?
Yes.
Yes, what's the
That's what
definition
that
of
is.
low socioeconomic?
It would be our students that come from poverty.
Well, but the state sets a number, right?
A number for low socio.
So students in poverty, the state has a definition of what that means to be in poverty.
Yeah, we used to have the free and reduced lunch application.
Yeah.
I know those pieces have changed a little bit. So it's really the student group identification.
Go ahead, Eric.
So how do we get that number? So there's 2 ways we get that number. So direct cert, which means students whose family qualified for food stamps, or we get that list from the county.
Oh my God.
Like homeless. And then the second part of that is Mr. Kirkland's department has done a wonderful job with this, is we have every family fill out an income survey at the beginning of the year as part of the registration process. And so based on that income survey, then we get an additional number of students who qualify as low income. So our district's right around 65, 66% district-wide of low-income students based on direct certification from the county, as well as parents self-reporting their income through an electronic process through student registration.
Thank you.
Follow
One
up.
more question. Go ahead.
Yeah, follow up on that. The, what you said, that we do a survey, that's valid to the state? I mean, that they go by what the
It
survey
is.
said?
It used to be based on going through Ann's department of free and reduced lunch. But now that everyone eats no matter what, the free and reduced lunch count, families filling that out has gone way down.
Right.
So the state's allowed us to do an income verification survey. Every district does it. Mr. Kirkland and his department, very easy for parents during registration. And we saw our low income percentage, which is more funding, go up about 9% in the last couple of years.
So the parents fill out the survey themselves.
Any other questions? Jamie, thank you for the presentation. I think if we put our money where our mouth is, 97% of the money goes into learning opportunities and safe school environments. And I think that's where our priorities are. So I'm happy to see that. But thank you. It was very well done. Okay, and then we are going to have a hearing related to this. I will open the hearing at 8:40. And I will close the hearing at 8:41. And we'll act on that next week, I presume. Now we're moving on to 8.19, educational services. This is Apogee, Thrill Share, website and communications development. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by board member Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
second by Board Member Coat. We're gonna be approving several purchases, and I know this time of year we do it, Jamie. And the only general question I have is, to what extent do we involve teacher input related to some of the programs that we're gonna be presumably approving tonight?
We have what's called our K-12 lead teacher team that we meet with throughout the school year. And we try to ask for every school sending a representative to our team, because we receive their input and feedback, not only on the programs that worked for them, but also they help us to evaluate that as well. And then we also look at usage and evaluation that Mr. Kirkland helps with as well.
Okay, great. So we got a couple of ways to do that. Okay, thank you. So did I ask for a motion in a second? Are we okay? Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. The next one is for the ARIES. This is our student database system. Do I have a motion for approval?
Approval. Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister, a second by Board Member Coat. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 8.21 is, I think we're refurbishing or replenishing, I should say, our Chromebook inventory. I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, this is just a question. This is to replace things that aren't working anymore, but also to align with the recent state law. These things are going to be 10-year shelf life. Is that correct?
Yes, this goes along with also the requirement for the technology, and it goes along with the state testing requirement as well. But it does meet those guidelines.
Okay, these previous guidelines we were replacing them every 3 years, right?
Correct. It was extended now.
So this is the potential that we do not replace them this often.
Yes, thank goodness.
Excellent.
Okay, very good. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. The next one is CDW Amplified for Education Group Google Workspace. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second motion by Board Member Bannister, a second by Board Member Coat. Any questions or comments? Okay, I'm glad to see we're getting the gopher pack too. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. Sorry. 8.23 is the Cengage Learning Reach for Reading. Do I have a motion for approval? Move to approve. I have a motion by Board Member Bob Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Board Member Debbie Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 8.24 is the purchase of Dream Box Online Math and Reading. Do I have a motion for approval? I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. It passes unanimously. 8.25 is Great Minds Eureka Math. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister, a second by Board Member Coat. Questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. This next one, I believe, is to help manage our libraries, the Destiny and Follett School Solutions. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Debbie Miller. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 8.27 is a Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. This is the English 3D to, I believe, support our English language learners, some of what Dr. Anderson just talked about. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Board Member Bob Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Bannister. Questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll vote aye. It passes unanimously. 8.28 is Edgenuity. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 8.29, Educational Services, IXL Learning. It's an online learning platform. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
I have a second.
Second.
Motion by Board Member Bannister, second by Board Member Debbie Miller. Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll I'll vote aye, it passes unanimously. 8.30 is news to you, Symbol Sticks Prime Unique Learning System. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion by Board Member Debbie Miller, a second by Board Member Coe. Questions, comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.31 is Project Lead the Way Steam Carts. Okay, got a motion by Board Member Bannister. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Board Member Debbie Miller. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.32, Renaissance Star Assessments and Accelerated Reader. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move approval.
And I'll second the item. Got a motion by Board Member Bannister. I second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.33 is the Renaissance Illuminate. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a motion by Board Member Debbie Miller. Second.
Second.
Second by Board Member Bannister. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.35, Educational Services, Zern Math. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Board Member Bob Miller. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, did I skip one? Okay, I'll go back. I have a second. This is 8.35 I'm on. Do I have a motion? I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. We're gonna go back to 8.34, sorry. Sure. This is Educational Services, School Specialty Full Options. This is FOSS, Customized Science Kits. I have a motion for approval.
Move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister and a second by Board Member Coe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. So we've already done 8.35. I hope we meet all those goals on the LCAP with all those programs just approved, okay? Okay, 8.36, Educational Services. This is Interquest Detection Canines, or the drug dogs as they're popularly known. Do I have a motion for approval? I have a motion by Board Member Bannister and a second by Board Member Coe. Questions or comments? Go ahead, Bob.
I have Superintendent. How many hits did we get last year?
Excuse me. We're working on that data, Board Member Miller. I'm gonna need to get that to you through a Friday report, but I'm not sure. Yeah, we're still gathering information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.37 this is an adjustment for the Certificate Administration and Senior Management salary increase. All those in favor, or I'm sorry, do I have a motion for approval?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. 8.38 is substitute teacher pay. This is an attempt to make sure that we have subs.
Yeah, move approval.
I have a motion by Board Member Bannister, a second by Board Member Coe. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
8.39 is classified substitute pay. Do I have a motion for approval? I have a motion by Board Member Bannister. I'll second the item. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it passes unanimously. This next one is a public hearing for the CSEA proposed contract amendments. Is there any presentation related to this? No, it's just a hearing. Okay, not just a hearing, but it is a hearing. Sorry. Okay, open the hearing at 8:49. And I will close the hearing at 8:50. That's just a hearing. So we're moving on now to another public hearing related to the board's proposed contract amendments with CSEA. Any questions or comments? Okay, I will open the hearing at 8:50. And I will close the hearing at 8:51. 8.42. My gosh, we have another public hearing. 8.42, this is a public hearing for YCEA. Questions or comments? I will open the hearing at 8:50. And I will close it at 8:51. Let's have another hearing. 8.43. Public hearing for Board of Education's proposed contract amendments with YCEA. I will open the hearing at 8:51-ish. And we'll close it at 8:52. All right, thanks for bearing with us through all that. Now we're moving on to the consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any board member would like considered separately? No? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I have a motion by board member Bob Miller. I have a second. Second by board member Bannister. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. It passes unanimously. 10.01 is, this is a new administrative regulation that will come back to us, I presume. Or is this, oh, we're actually receiving this now. Okay. Do we have to act on this? We don't. Okay. All right, it's just information. And now we're going to additional administrative information. Ms. Bates.
Thank you. Earlier, you heard Liliana Montenegro mention the One in a Melon award, and I wanted to share that Ms. Van Dam and myself with Dr. Greenan and Liliana Montenegro, and I believe 11 other recipients in the county out of 33 districts, and this received this award at the County Superintendent of Schools Board meeting, and this was for their work with the fresh fruits and vegetables that they serve in our district. So we have heard in our student voice activity how important those fresh fruits and vegetables are. In fact, for many of our students, if they run out, they are not happy. A nice orange or a banana or something like that can change somebody's day better to the worse or better. So I really want to just share with you that Ann and her team, along with Kevin, work really hard to set aside food for specifically for some of our students that need that consistency. And when Ella presented the information regarding the school lunch program and what was needed, Ann was the first one to step up and share what she was thinking already to do to support the student voice piece. So we really appreciated that. And then tomorrow we get to go back to the county superintendents of schools for the classified employee, county employee winners. And so our two state winners also were winners at the county level. We have other winners that we'll be celebrating. I believe we have 4 that are receiving awards. So we'll be going back. So, you know, we could probably say that you have a clean house. So really exciting. It's been great. So
great. Okay, Mr. Stoll. All right, board member comments. Board member Bob Miller. I'll keep it short. You can talk.
The only thing I want to mention, obviously all the celebrations were great. Especially the high school graduation, it felt like hometown USA with the fireworks going off and all the banners and everything, and it seemed to go pretty seamless. But I know behind the scenes there were people troubleshooting and working hard. So thank our teachers for all they do. I thought the retiring teachers that got up and spoke, it was pretty neat the way they talked to our students, and it was really a great event to be there. It just feels good about our town. I want to thank our superintendent for going to the city council meeting last night and really talking about our partnerships that we have enjoyed with our city. We're all one community. We try to work close together. Superintendent Binks really highlighted the good relationships, especially with public safety, our relationship with them and the community, the city manager that she meets with monthly now, I think, and their public safety committee. And then the work we're doing really behind the scenes to make sure we're seamless with our student issues and any community issues. The communication's awesome. I don't know if a lot of people know that, and I'm glad you're going to the council meetings to, on occasion, to let them know what we're doing. And it's good stuff. We're all one community, so we can help each other. So thank you for doing that. It's really excellent. You presented well. That was great. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Mine's just real short. I unfortunately, due to personal reasons, I couldn't go to a lot of the events, but I was able to attend the high school graduation and kind of piggyback on what Bob said. It's such a great small town feel, and we do it big, and I love it. We do only have one high school. Well, we have Green Valley, Oak Valley, but I mean, it's just such a great community feel to be there and to see that. And, the speeches, they were great. And it's just a great town that we have. We have great parents that come to our meetings and share their hearts. And we have a lot of, like tonight, the banner people, a lot of the community that helps our school district. I appreciate that we're mentioning them at board meetings, because I think just the whole hometown feel and having everybody work together for our students and our kids is so important. And of course, all the staff and everything. So anyways, it was just a really great experience. And hopefully next year things will turn around for me and I'll go to more.
Ms. Bannister.
Yes, I always enjoy all the end of the year festivities. It was very heartwarming and great. And again, thanks for these meetings where we get to do the highlights and brag on our people, because we do have some pretty great employees and some great leadership. And I appreciate all of it.
Board Member Coe.
Same, I think, watching the high school kids, I was only able to go to one thing as well, the high school graduation, but watching those guys walk across and kind of, they're so nervous and they're just supposed to get a picture and they just have no idea what they're doing. It's so fun, and when I walked off the stage, my heart was filled with joy, so it's always fun to be a part of that. I want to thank all the parents and the teachers and our students who came up and spoke tonight. Thank you for sharing your voice and your concerns. Just like Ella, who is getting out there and getting our student voice, your voice is important to us. Thank you for coming and thank you for staying.
I think the superintendent has one more thing to add.
Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you, President Snellings. Board Member Miller, you reminded me that we have Monday night is the Calamasa City Council, and they are doing proclamations and recognizing Mesa View Middle School's Schools to Watch Award that they received, and they're also going to recognize Isaiah Joyner, who's the classified employee of the year for the state and the county for the safety category. And then I'll go into speaking to them about the partnerships that we have with the city of Calamasa as well, which is done also extremely well.
Okay, I'd also like to thank everybody for coming. And Ann, as far as I'm concerned, you're 1 in 10 Melon in your department. So we're very, very proud of you. So you look good on Instagram and everybody else. Okay, we are adjourned.